Hello class. So our topic today is about animation using C Sharp language and using the Windows form of Visual Studio. So first we have to know the control location property of the Visual Studio. So it will get or set the coordinates of the upper left corner of the control relative to upper left corner of its container. Then next is we have the point method. The point that represents the upper left corner of the controller relative to the upper left corner of its coordinate. So we have two coordinates. We have the x and y coordinates. And then we have for example, here in our example code, we have label 1, that location. So this is the control location property. And then it will get the new point for the x and y coordinate. And then next is we have the timer, which is one of the important also in animating an object. So timer in C sharp timer class represents a timer in C sharp Windows form that has a timer control that can be dropped to a form and set its properties. And C sharp timer class exclude a block of code repeatedly at a given interval of time, then the execution occurs via a timer event. We have two methods in timer. We have the start method and then we have the stop method. The start method stop racing the elapsed event by setting enabled or false to false. So for example, this is the syntax. We have timer 1 that start method. Then next is we have the stop method. Start tracing the ellipse even by setting the enable to true. So we have this syntax timer 1 that stop. Okay, so let's go now to the actual demonstration. Let's go now to our Visual Studio. So first we have to create a new project in Windows form and then example animation. Animation 3. Okay. Okay, and then next, okay, so for example, let's put a label. Then next is we have to include also the timer. Timer. This one. Just click and drag. There you go. We have timer 1. Okay, then next is let's go now to our code. So for the code, okay, just double click this one, timer 1, or right click, view code, or double click timer 1. So it created a method here, private void timer 1 ticker, and then let's put some codes. First we have to initialize the start method of the timer. So in our form 1, so we have to put timer 1 dot start. Okay, the next is the codes. Now, in our objective, for example, label 1 will animate from left to right, for example. So from this location, so it will move from this position to this position. Okay, so let's go now to our code. So to do that, first we have to use the looping statement, for example, for loop, and then initialize a variable. So data type integer. So for example, variable name loop, and then starting point. So for example, let's try 25, and then loop, for example, let's try 500, less than or equal to 500. So from 25 to 500, and then we have increment loop plus plus. Then next is we have to get the current location of label 1. So we put label 1 that location is equal to new point, then the x and y coordinate. So for example, um, let's say 25 25. Okay, so let's try this one. Click run. Okay, so let's wait. Okay. For the output, so this is our output. Okay, so that is our output. Now, if you notice, it didn't move from this position because in our code, so let's go back to our code, Visual Basic. Okay, so if you will notice in our code, so the x and y axis didn't change the location. We have 25 and 25 also. So if you want to change the location of the label 1 of this object, so for example, 500, that's right, 500 and 100. So the value of the x axis is 500, and this is the y axis. So let's try. So this is the output there. So if you notice, it moved. So from this position to this position. Okay, so this location, the x axis is 500. Okay, and then for the y axis is 100. Okay, then next. Okay, so let's go back to our code. Click stop. Okay, so what if we change this one? So the variable loop changes because I mean the value of the variable loop changes because of our looping statement. Okay, looping statement. So every now and then it will increment. Okay, increment by 1. So from 25, so it will count from 25 to 500. So what if we change this the x axis value to loop? So what will happen? Okay, so let's try to run. Okay, so this is the output. So it changes the position of the object from this point to this point. From um, from 25, so the first value is 25, 25, 26, 27, 28 until 500. Okay, so that's why it moved from this location, okay, from this location to this location. Okay, next. So what if that is for the x-axis? Okay, so let's go back to our code. Okay, so this is our x-axis. Take note, and this is our y-axis. So what if we change also this one? Value is loop. What will happen? Okay, let's try to run. So definitely it will move from here to here. Pag ganun siya. Because 25, then 26. X-axis, pag ganun. So, from left to right. And then y-axis is from the top to bottom. This line. So, vertical and horizontal. Okay? So, let's try. So, this is our code. So, label 1, that location is called to new point, loop, loop. So, let's start. Okay. There. So from this point, okay. So from this point to this point. So it animate the label 1. Okay. So let's go now. Let's go back to our code. Then click stop. That is for the loop x and the y axis. What if our x axis is static? Okay, our x-axis is static and our y-axis it moves. It changes the value from 25 to 500. By the way, just click the form design and then look for the Windows state to maximize. So every now and then that you open or run your program, the Windows is maximized. So let's go back to our code. So there we have the new location point of label 1, 100, and then this is the x-axis, and the y-axis is changing the value from 25 to 500. Then click start. Okay, so this is the output. Okay, because in our code, if you notice, our x-axis is static and our y-axis is changing the value or changes the value from 25 to 500 because we are using the looping statement there. Okay, so this is the output. So the static there is the x-axis. Okay, x-axis. Now let's go back to our Visual Studio. Then stop. Okay, so what if multiple loop? what will happen in our code. So for example here, let's copy and then paste. Okay, so we have two loops here. Okay, so for example here, this is 25 and loop. Yep. And then next, what if this is loop? So let's try this one. We have two looping statement here. So the first one, the point location of label 1 is 25 and loop, and then the second loop, the new location point is loop and loop. So what will happen? Click start. Okay, so this is the output. There. So this is the first loop. Yeah, this is the first loop, and then this is the second loop. First loop, second loop, first loop, and then we have second loop. First loop, and then we have the second loop. Okay, so let's go now. Let's go back to our Visual Studio here. So this is our first loop, 25. So 25 is static. The x-axis is static, but the y-axis is incrementing. So nag-increment siya. So that's why here in our output, so this is the first loop. Yung y-axis, that is downward. Okay? Y-axis is downward. And then for the x-axis, that is static. So dito lang siya in this part. Okay? Okay, so this one. 25 and loop. Okay, then next is our second loop. So this is our second loop. For the second loop, the x-axis is incrementing, and as well as for the y-axis incrementing then. So that's why our output, so this is our output. For the second loop, so this one. Okay, so that is for the using two loops in our code. Then next, let's go back to our Visual Studio. Then click stop. Then next is what if we are using increment here. What if decrement? Okay, let's wait. Okay, so what if decrement? Okay, so let's remove the second loop. Okay. So this is incrementing. How about decrement? Minus minus. So first we have to change this one. So from 500 position or points to 25. And then here, so for example, 500. Okay? 500, I know. X-axis, 25. Sige. 25 is our x-axis, and then our y-axis is I mean decrementing from 500 to 25 points or value. So click start. So let's wait for the output. Okay, so this is the output. Yeah. So that is for using decrement. Okay, upward. So let's go back to our Visual Basic. I mean Visual Studio. So the value of the x-axis is static. That is 25. So that's why in our output, this line, this is x-axis. Okay, this one. Next is the upward. This is the y-axis. Y-axis. So if we go back in our code, so this is our code 25, and then the y-axis is decrementing minus. Okay, okay, next, what if this is 500? No, click stop. This is loop, for example. Okay, so let's change this one. For example, 500. No, this is loop, and our y-axis is 500, for example. Y-axis, yeah. So let's try. Click start, and then let's see what will be the output. Okay, so this is the output. There you go. This is the output. So from 500, okay, this is the y axis, okay, so that decrement the value of the x axis, so downward siya. I mean from right to left. Okay, that's it. So for your activity, that is posted in our Google Classroom, so you will create a box. Okay, so you will create a box. So thank you for listening. So next video will be our key press event. So see you in my next video.